Oda is back. Tessine is back. My artist that does the full page spreads for my chapter reviews she took March off and Oda took April off. So we've just all been hurting, but we're all back and it's amazing. You saw a preview of her artwork in the thumbnail of this video. She has outdone herself once again. Also, she has a shop now, which I'll have linked in the description. You should check it out if you want to buy any of her prints. Some of them are on my wall right now, but she's forcing me to buy more just because this is probably my new favorite piece that she's done. Anyway, we need to talk about this chapter because I have missed talking about chapters. But first, a shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs creates each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. I've been using Factor for months and I love their meals. They make it so easy to eat well and delicious with so little effort. And when I tell you, they never miss. Their meals are always so delicious, so full of flavor, and you can pop it in the microwave, have it done in 2 minutes, or in the oven, have it done in 7. I'm not interrupting my workflow and I get a delicious, nutritious meal with so little effort. And Factor is tailored to fit your schedule. You can customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. You can pause or reschedule your deliveries to suit your lifestyle. I'm so bad about not wanting to pause work and make myself a proper meal, so I go to very, very simple solutions a lot of the time, and Factor makes it possible for me to still have that quick meal while not compromising that delicious flavor or the nutrition that I really need to get me through the day. They make it a lot easier for me to meet my goals without having to interrupt my day. So head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use my code MurphyNapier50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next box. That's MurphyNapier50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you for checking them out. On to the video. Okay, the chapter. So this is more of a putting things into place, checking in on the chaos of everything and building up tension. It's not a hype chapter, so there's a little bit less to talk about because there's a lot more of checking in a lot of places. Honestly, this chapter was a little bit chaotic, but there are still some golden pieces to talk about, and I'm just really excited to be back talking about chapters. So, the chapter began with a whole bunch of chaos, reminding us of the fact that the elders have stormed in and they are fighting, they're going hard, people are going down, they want to capture Bonney, don't get her off this island. Vegapunk, what were you thinking giving a 12-year-old this kind of power, this kind of command? Are you an idiot? Yes, but we love him for it. We love Bonney. Capture the Straw Hats, don't let them get off this island, and sink the Elbaf ship, their way of escape. So, those are the objectives. And then we switch to Frankie. Okay. This is a random thing, and it's something that I don't think I talk about a lot, but I miss classic Oda. I'll put up some images where the panels were very white and very clean, and then it was just an emphasis on the moment that's happening, right? I love that Oda went back to this to set up Frankie landing the punch on the Marine. Now, we all thought that this was going to be Frankie's arc, like Whole Cake was Sanji's arc, and we've all been terribly wrong about that, but it is nice to see him have a really cool page. And then follow that off with Bonney asking the giants, please go take my dad, get him out of here, protect him, and then saying to the Marine, don't call him a weapon. My daddy is a hero. And then landing a kick of her own after she turned the man into a small child. So we get to see a little bit of action from our Straw Hats and Bonney, and then we check in with Vegapunk, who is still running his coffee ad. Eventually he'll get to the content of the video, but you always have to plug the ad first. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring this video. And so we also have the Uncanny Bird, who has come in with York and seen, okay, like, we need to find the snail. Like, I have a goal here. I'm trying to end this transmission. And when he acts out in anger, York lets him know, we did a terrible job planning the layout of this building. We have weapons development here, a power plant directly below it. Over here and above, we have a supply of pressurized gas cylinders. So basically, we set the perfect trap for ourselves. we didn't expect to ever be attacked, and we didn't plan for this. And we're really, really not set up for this, so please stop blowing holes through the walls. And then she lets us know that the transponder snail was just recently completed. You can recognize it by its triangular spiral shell. So I am curious because flipping to the end of the chapter, the snail we saw it from the front angle, so we don't actually know if it has a triangular spiral shell. So it is possible, I'm sure a lot of us are talking about the possibility that this is not the snail, but actually a decoy snail. So once we see it from another angle, we can probably verify based off of the spiral pattern if this is it or not, because I know a lot of us were theorizing the snail is not in Punk Hazard, is not in here, that it's actually off of Egghead Island completely. I mean, we'll see. But Oda did give us that prompt, and while it looks like the shell could be triangular in shape itself, we can't confirm it in this chapter, but Oda gave us this explanation and then didn't fully show it to us, so I assume that's because we're in the next chapter going to see the snail more, and we're going to determine, yes, that's the snail, no, that's not the snail. We also check back in with Stussy and Kaku, and Stussy lets us know that she's planning on staying behind, deactivating the shields so that the Straw Hats can get away, so she's going to sacrifice herself, which I'm surprised she's even still alive. I thought she was dead already. So maybe I forgot something though. Maybe she got back up in a previous chapter, but she's staying behind to be a sacrifice for them as well, which seems to be a pattern in this particular arc is sacrifice. Obviously Kuma is a really obvious example of that, but also Vegapunk has chosen to be a sacrifice and has accepted that that was going to be his fate. Like, he knew that was what was going to happen with him. And now Stussy is sacrificing herself as well. So that definitely seems to be a big theme that Oda is honing in on in this chapter, which makes sense. I mean, in this arc, which makes sense for everything that he's built up to this point. I love this scene with Edison where he says that he's gonna make sure that the ship can touch down in water, and he calculates the risk. Simulated external damage, 78%. It won't kill me. Here goes. And then he breaks through. Oh my goodness. I already really liked Edison. He's always been one of my favorite of the satellites. But this calculated risk, I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure you guys make it. Oh, I love it so much. This is probably my favorite panel, or my favorite spread of this chapter, and it's of the dumb worm. The worm is my least favorite design for the elders, but I love this spread of it turning into a vacuum, sucking everything up, even the giants. Even the giants are having a hard time resisting, and Luffy, his body's being pulled back as well. And Luffy says, that's it, if you're that hungry, have a building. And he knocks the building into the worm, and it transforms the entire form of the worm as it just kind of wraps around the building. I love this so much. I think Oda drew it beautifully, to where when I first turned the page, I was unsure what I was looking at until I read the context of what was happening, and then it hit me. So it wasn't even, you know how sometimes you turn the page and you see what's happening and you're like, ah, that's about to happen, and then you have to quickly read to catch up to what your eyes just saw. This was an instance of my eyes saw it, didn't understand it, I read, and then the context made sense, and I burst out laughing. I thought it was hilarious. While we're talking about the worm, I'll also note that we didn't see the worm in the last chapter. I just went back and looked. The last time we saw the worm was in chapter 1110, and in that one, it ended with it getting sliced in 3 pieces. Dory and Bragi chopped it each. So there were 3 slices of worm. We kind of talked about the fact that now that might mean that there's going to be 3 worms in the next chapter. It might mean that we're going to watch it put itself back together. We didn't see anything. It just wasn't in the next chapter, and now here it is, back totally fine. Actually, I'm looking through the chapter again, and the worm was in the last chapter, in like shrouded kind of in the shadows. But my point still stands. It being sliced in three isn't narratively acknowledged beyond the act. So it's just understood narratively that if you slice them, they just put themselves back together and keep moving. Like, it doesn't even need acknowledgement. So if we watch one of them get sliced through in the next couple of chapters, you know, worth keeping in mind. Then Luffy needs to eat. The giants say, oh sure, we have some fermented shark in our pocket. No problem. And he's Popeye the Sailor Man, good to go again. And then he does Gum Gum Red Rock on the boar. Now I love the way Oda did this because up to this point we're seeing the chaos that has been going on. We're seeing the buildup of what they're trying to establish. They want to get Bonney. They want to stop the Straw Hats. They want to get into Punk Records and stop the transmission. They want to take down the Elbaf ship. So they have their goals reestablished. We see the chaos that's going on. We see the friction that's going on. We're kind of getting set up of everything. But overall, we're still kind of believing that we're getting off the island. It's still feeling like things are working out in favor of the Straw Hats, even though we have this horrible threat in front of us. Like, they're still gonna get away. And with this scene with the worm, that's kind of reinforced, at least in my mind, until and then this too with Luffy, you know, Popeye the Sailor Man charging back up and then throwing a hit that we expect to do something, you know, some sort of damage, some sort of disorientation at least. And then you turn the page and it's like the tides completely turn. Everything shifts. All of a sudden, the chaos and the excitement and the, oh my goodness, we're getting away. It's all building up to this. We're going to see the message. We're going to get out in time. Everything just totally turns. Luffy's hand is burning. Luffy's hand is hurt. It didn't actually do anything. The boar looks totally fine. The elder boar looks totally fine. Saturn is coming over the edge, creeping over onto Nami, Usopp, and Sweet Sweet Chopper. Huh? A crab? And then my favorite panel. Now, the worm thing was my favorite spread because I thought it was beautifully executed. My favorite panel, because of how ominous, horrifying it is of the undead skeletal horse thing. In general, this is my favorite of the designs of the five elders of the yokai, and him being kind of shrouded in shadows, and his pose, he looks amazing. Like, just on a glance, I loved this. But then I realized one of the giants has fallen. There's blood dripping off of the sword. He took down one of the giants. Now, we can see which one it was because the giants that were with Usopp and Nami and Chopper were the one that looks like Gimli from The Lord of the Rings, and then the one that looks like, I don't know, someone. The other one. So one of these two has just fallen. My guess is going to be based off of the panel that we see right before the giant falls, that's the Gimli looking giant. But anyway, we realize that he's taken down one of the giants. Is the giant dead? Is he just badly injured? We are obviously not going to find out right now, but this panel looks incredible. I mean, easily my favorite. Several people in the chat, because I read these on Patreon, several people in the chat, it was their favorite, and it seems it was Tissine's favorite too, because this is our art piece for the week, and it is my new favorite one. Tissine is a master at perspective. Venus in the background in his half skeletal horse form, half human form, looking off in the shadows with his sword and the blood dripping down out of frame, with Bonney looking fierce in the sword. It's just everything about this is stunning to me. Even the sort of obscure background that's happening behind it all kind of harkens back to the chaos of this scene. The detail of her work is incredible. Every week she blows me away how she can turn something this detailed and this unique and stunning in such a short period of time. Honestly, it's incredible just as an art piece in general, but also being able to capture the intensity of this moment, how harrowing and overwhelming it felt. Ah, I just love it so much. Please show Tissine some love in the comments. I love this art piece. The chapter ends on the Mars walking in on the snail phone. Now again, is this a decoy snail phone? Is it the one? Is this the why am I calling it a snail phone? Is this the decoy transponder snail? Is it the transponder snail that is the one that's, if he stops it, then he stops the transmission, and the secret, the thing that Vegapunk wanted to get out to the world won't get out to the world? I don't know, but what I do know is that there's a glub glub blub happening, and Mars seems to be looking up. He looks down at the snail and then he looks up. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I had no theories on what this all meant when I read it, but talked a while with the patrons in the chat. They brought up some really great theories. One that I thought was really good was Vegapunk's giant brain being in a container, and we're hearing the glub glub of the bio chamber thing that's happening. But the fact that Mars is looking up has me thinking that whatever is glub glubbing is on the ceiling. And Mars might not be looking up, but it certainly looks like it, with the shadows kind of falling over his eyes. That's what it seems like to me. Anyway, that has me thinking that it is a possibility that this is the snail, and Mars saw it, but then got distracted by what's on the ceiling, and this is a trap, what's on the ceiling. It's something, you know, if this is the transponder snail, it's not going to just be sitting in the room unguarded. There's got to be some sort of defense mechanism guarding it. And if it's not a person, then it might be a something on the ceiling that's gonna fall on him, or maybe a clone. I don't know why a clone would be on the ceiling that's gonna start fighting. I don't know. There's an infinite number of possibilities, and Oda definitely left us on there's something here, just trust me, we're gonna get into it next week kind of ending. But I am curious what you think. Do you think this is the actual snail, or do you think that this is a decoy? And what's glub glub blubbing? And is it on the ceiling? I'm gonna throw my chips in that it's a trap on the ceiling. But I would like it to be known that the video that Mars is trying to stop said, 1 minute left, Stella! And Vegapunk said, I know! Slurp, which means that he finally drank his coffee, which means that the ad is over, which means that next chapter, we're either gonna hear it or it'll be stopped. Or neither of those things will happen. We really just don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts though. What did you think of the chapter? For me, this was not a chapter that reached the heights that so many chapters before it have done, but honestly, the break has been long and I'm just happy to be back. So please do chat with me in the comments because I'm excited to be talking about new chapters again. Don't forget to check out Factor. I'll see you again soon. Bye.